Good evening, everyone. It's Christine Trainer talking to you live from New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada. And I haven't done this for a while because, I've just been going to get myself really busy on the computer getting things done for a couple hours. I'm going to try to make this a little shorter. I'm going to do my best, anyways. I came on tonight because I just had a sad thing happen to me today. A good friend of ours, a lovely, good Iranian friend named Adizab, he passed away today. Yeah, I think he had a stroke a couple days ago, and he went into a coma and he passed away this morning. Well, yeah, this morning, which is Monday. And I was saddened about that because he was a lovely man. I want to talk about this for a few minutes because life is so precious. Life goes by so fast. We take things for granted in life. We don't stop and think. The old saying is stop and smell the roses, right? Stop and smell. And I think that's a good example of how we must take care of ourselves mentally and physically in life too, right? So I'm just going to give you a short, brief history of how I know about Adizar. He was a sweet man. He was close to my age. I think he's about 59, my age as well. And he was a good friend of Masoud, my sweet man, who's from Iran. So he's from Iran as well. Now, I have a sad sort of history, what he told me about him at one time when I first knew Masoud, because they used to be roommates. When I first knew Masoud over 23 years ago, they were roommates here in New Westminster. They had a small, lovely little two-bedroom apartment. And Masoud had all these wonderful little birds in his room, these little budgies. And he had a whole slew of budgies in his room, and he was Birdman. And his friend Adiza was a fish. He loved fish, so he had a couple of beautiful fish tanks in his room. He loved fish. And he was going to breed them, right, at one time, but that didn't quite happen. But anyways, I think he knew him back in Iran. But you see, with Adiza, the suit never was, he found a way to not go to the army. Because when you reach a certain age, like 18, you're supposed to go into the army and be a part of the army in Iran. Well, Masoud sort of found a way to not do that. But his friend Adizar was in the army, and he was in the war between Iraq and Iran way back then, right? When he was very young. And he was shot, I think, between 7 to 9 times in his body, and he survived that. In his legs, in his back, in his arms, in his chest, and he survived it, believe it or not. But I think he ended up having some issues he had some issues, I think it was one of his legs to his ankles, where he ended up having numbness in it for a while, and he had to learn how to walk properly on it. So he had a few physical issues after that, and I think it was very traumatic. I mean, the man was shot 7 to 9 times, and he was during the war, and he survived. So I think through that, he was, how soldiers get the traumatic stress, I forgot the name of it, right? After war. And I think that's what happened to Adizar, but I didn't really know much about it myself because when I first met him, he was kind of cool. I loved talking to him. He was a bit of a smoker. He smoked like crazy and he smelled like smoke. And I wasn't a big fan of that, but I really liked him because he's a wonderful character of a man. He's very interesting. He had a lot of interesting things to say, very intelligent man. And I liked talking to him, and I enjoyed his company when I first knew him. And of course, he eventually moved out of Masoud's apartment and he moved on his own because he wanted to have a bigger place because he really was into fish. The man liked fish. When he had his own little apartment, he had he was in a basement suite, and in his apartment was a tanks full of fish. It was amazing. I loved the man, and we would see him from time to time. Always kept in touch with him. And the past a few years, of course, he's been living in Abbotsford, so he was on his own, and then he was in Chilliwack with our friends. But he always kept in touch with us from time to time, and I saw him last year as well. And he looked a little bit sad from time to time. He didn't look like he was a happy man. And I guess I found out through my friends, because I'm long story short, right? He had a little boy. He has a little boy named Oliver who's 11 years old. And because he met this lovely young woman about 13 years ago, and they fell in love, and they had after a couple of years they had Oliver, and but things didn't work out, so they ended up separating, and they both went their own way. But of course, Oliver came to be with a mom, and he lived on his own. But of course, Oliver saw him all the time, right? But apparently, this past year or so, he was struggling even worse in his life. He was battling some health issues because he was having some heart issues. His blood pressure was pretty high. He was getting too many headaches from time to time. He was taking medications because he was very depressed. So he had a really bad year this past year, and I didn't realize that he was not. He was battling this because nobody really told us a whole lot, because when we saw him, he must have masked his depression well, because he was happy to see everybody. It was cool. So I felt really sad when I heard about this was happening to him. And then he also, our friend Frangies, who was a good friend of ours as well, who truly helped him out with his little guy and everything. She said that if he ever was to get sick and have a stroke, he he requested that he did not want to be resuscitated. He would die. He wanted to die because he thought it'd be best not to suffer. He knew, like, for example, my ex-husband had a stroke, and now he's in a wheelchair living in a home because he can't move the right side of his body, which was the strongest side. Mind you, his left side is very strong and he's very active in a different way, but he still lives in a home in a wheelchair. Or the fact that another friend of ours, quite a few years ago, passed away. He had a stroke. He was resuscitated in the hospital, but he never was the same. And after a year, he ended up passing away and having multiple strokes and dying anyways. So I do believe our friend Adaza did not want to suffer this same fate. So he thought, if I get a stroke, don't resuscitate me. Just let me go into a coma and pass away. That's all I want. So what happened was, I guess, when it was found out that he was in the hospital, when it happened, he had the stroke. He was in the hospital. He had a really bad headache. He was getting a stroke. He went to the hospital. He ended up going into a coma. They brought his son, to see him, and then that was his way of saying goodbye. It must have been very traumatic for his little boy. Now, his son has lost his dad, and he was 11 years old. He's 11 years old, his son is, and I feel sad for that because I lost my mom maybe 11 years ago. But that was okay because I was in my late 40s and I had spent most of my life with my mom, so it's different for me. But having a child, being a child and losing your parent, that's got to be devastating. So I feel for Adaza's son, and his ex-wife, and to lose him in this stage in his life. But Adaza had him when he was in his late 40s, so these things happen, right? And I was thinking about this today because it kind of made me sad and I was upset. I had a bit of a strange day anyways because I had a massive headache. But I woke up in a sad feeling as if to know that there was something sad that was going to happen today. Isn't that weird? I woke up feeling sad, feeling like, is something going to happen today? Because I feel very sad inside. And that's when our friend Faida called my sweet Masood while he was napping, and she told him that our friend Adazai had passed away. And I went, wow. I didn't think he was that bad, but apparently he was that bad. And apparently he was battling depression too. And I think it's a lot to do with the fact that he was a soldier. He was shot 7, 9 times, and a lot of that stays in your head, like soldiers do, right? And I felt bad, because he was a very lovely man. He was giving towards his son. They had a good relationship. He was pretty cool with his ex, but things didn't work out, right? They still stayed friends, and they still helped rear up the son separately anyways. And what I felt really bad, guys, there's my little sweetie, isn't she cute? What I felt really bad was now the son's without the dad, he's without him, and he'll live the rest of his life growing up without his dad, which is kind of sad. But I still say Adazar's in a good place now. He's not suffering, he's not in pain, and his spirit will live on in a lot of ways, because I always think highly of him as how lovely a person he was and how precious life can be, right? Because if we don't take care of ourselves, especially mentally, right? And I've been struggling to find a way to reach a better realm in my life in spirituality and get strong inside as well. And this sort of hit me really hard in a different way, but I'm strong, understanding that I'm doing the right thing for myself at the moment when I'm learning about spirituality, intuition, how I can take care of myself within me. And the physical part I'm getting to doing. I mean, today I had a bit of an off day because I didn't exercise and I had a bad headache. But I took a day to take care of myself and rest. And I'm coming on to you guys on here today because I needed to speak about it, because life is so precious, man. I mean, he was my age. I think he was turning 59. He was the same age as me. And he suffered greatly for so many years, and he suffered even worse this past year. And what made me sad was he didn't go get the help he really needed, because he was that kind of Iranian gentleman who thinks that they don't need help. They can carry on. It's like my sweet Masood. He, a short history by Masood, that's how he knew Elazar. He was against the government when he was young, back in Iran. So he went to jail, and he suffered greatly when he was tortured, and he was in jail for a few years. But he came out, sadly, because of the Iranian government, his passport was taken away, so he had to escape out of Iran with his sister, and that's how his life eventually come here to Canada, and that's how I became to know him. I understood that. But his friend Adazar, I think he didn't escape. I think he came out Iran illegally. I think that's what happened. I'm not sure, but he came to Canada as well to have a life for himself, to get away from Iran, even though he had family there. So these things are hard too for somebody like Adazar, who struggled for so many years, made a life for himself, had a child, did the best he could. He still couldn't get that stuff out of his head. He still struggled so terribly well. And even though he reached out, I don't think he reached out as well. And it was till it was too late. He ended up having a stroke, and now he's gone. And I feel kind of sad. Life is so precious, guys. So damn precious. We must try a way to reach out to people when we're sad. We must reach out to those who can help us as friends and get that sad, depressed feelings out of our brain. Find ways. Like, that's why I love my meditation. That's why I like my affirmations. That's why I like my gratitude every day, because it does strengthen me. And when I need to take a day to rest and take care of my sweet Masood understands. He understands that I'm physically not 100% as well. And if he knows I need to take a day to rest and to be with my little whippersnapper, my little whippersnapper girl, I can do that. I'll still get some of my work done online. I might stay up a little longer, but I'll get it done. I may not work as much as I want to do, because today I mostly did something, as I spoke before, on my everyday journey. I took the day to chill out. I watched a whole pile of silly things on YouTube, like a lot of comedy. A lot of funny comedy shows are on YouTube now that you can watch again. And I watched it and laughed and meditated. I didn't read again. I'm trying to get back to my reading. I'm supposed to be reading a book a month. I'm not doing that, guys. But I did that for me, because I know life is precious. And when I found out that he passed away, as I'm saying again, I thought, wow, life is so precious, man. Every day of our life we live is so precious. The people we are with are precious. My sweet Masood, who works his butt off, his life is precious, because when he takes his 2 days off, he takes 2 days off. He does really chills. Today was rather busy for him, and then of course the call about Elazar ended up disrupting his sleep today, and he didn't get a whole lot of sleep. So I'm hoping tomorrow he will. And I spent the day off and on resting and taking care of me and doing things for me. Now I'll probably spend a couple hours on my computer finishing off just a little bit of work and getting to sleep at least by 2 today. But that's my stuff. That's how I am. But I will make sure that I do enough work for tomorrow that I can get a good night's rest and get up refreshed and ready to go. That's what I'm learning to do. I'm learning, again, continuing with my goals of my affirmations, my gratitude, and my meditation every day. If it's once, if it's twice, it's still every day. I will do this every day. I will do this to quiet my mind, make my mind relaxed and chilled, take away the crazies of the day, throw them off into the air, because what's happening now is nice. I have a quiet evening to get my work done, my little kitty cat by my side, and that's good. That's what makes it good for you. Doing things to take care of you is good, because life is so precious. It's so fast. And then you feel like you've not accomplished anything. I mean, I'm still learning about stuff in my life right now, so I am accomplishing other things. I am being successful in a lot of different ways every day of my life. I'm learning about things, understanding about stuff. And this thing that happened today with my good friend Adazar, who passed away, taught me something, taught me an awful lot about life again, how we must take care of ourselves each day. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. I'm going to leave you with this thought. Take care of yourselves. Do things to take care of your mind every day. If you want help, reach out and ask for help. If you need somebody by your side to help you get through things, do it. I have a young friend who's coming I think by Friday she'll be moving here to New West even more, and we're going to spend some time together, my friend and I, because she needs friends in her life, and I'm going to go walking with her 2 or 3 times a week. That's my plan, to be with my young friend and her little boy, and we're going to spend time together as friends because we need each other as companions and friends, as people. Being like, I spend a lot of time on my own too, but then I like being by myself. It's also an idea. If you like being on your own as a person too, that's a good thing. If you don't like being by yourself, to enjoy being who you are, that's another bad thing as well. Like, I like being on my own, but I like being with my friends too. And I know with having my sweet Masood in my life, and now my little kitty cat, I feel more, I can reach out to him and give him a hug, and we can give each other a kiss, and we can hold each other as companions and a couple, companions, as loving companions as well, and give each other the love to each other to show that we care about each other and we're standing by each other through thick and thin. And this is what's beautiful about looking after yourself, because life is precious. So, guys, reach out to somebody if you're feeling desperate and unhappy. Be with people that you know are going to help you in your life. Be with positive, like minded people like who you want to be every day. And you'll reach the top of the stars. Maybe in a different way. You'll be successful in a way that you want to be in your life. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be a successful way of being and feeling every day. Okay, guys, that's what I wanted to say. So, have a good, lovely night, and I'm sure you will. Sleep well, my lovely friends, and my love to you all. Night.